World of Warcraft community is the best community ever. It is so good.
Around how much it's helped solidify friendships, like
the third faction is truly the most important, because we all have a say in it.
Welcome to The Third Faction, a podcast about the community of World of Warcraft. I'm your host, Deme, but you can call me Deme. And as always, I'm joined by the man with the best voice in podcasting. It's Bricco.
I'm doing great,
buddy,
Deme. How are you today?
I'm all right. It's a little bit late here in the UK. It's about 25 past 10 at night, and we're recording this on the 23rd of December.
Yes, happy Christmas Eve.
Christmas. Happy Christmas Eve. And by the time you guys listen to this, it will be December the 31st, 2020. It will be the end of the year that everybody...
A New Year's Eve send-off, you say?
Absolutely. And with that in mind, this episode's a little bit different. We don't have a guest. It's just going to be me and Bricco chatting about the things that have happened since we first started this podcast at the end of June. Because it's been quite a tumultuous 6 months.
From our first podcast to now? Is there some news maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I think there's been a few things happening, Bricco. So we wanted to take this opportunity just to, have a chat between ourselves, talk about the highs and lows of the game in the last 6 months, because there's been a few of those, the highs and lows of the industry, chat obviously about some certain expansion that's been out a month to the day, and give you guys a little bit of a heads up about what we think we're going to be doing in the next 6 months, 12 months.
There's some ideas, isn't there?
There may be a few.
Should
we save those for the end? So what have you... I know obviously Shadowlands has been a massive high for everybody. I would like to think for everybody in the World of Warcraft community. It's been a phenomenal expansion launch. Has it been one of your highs?
Absolutely.
In the game for this year, Bricco?
I will say, before I was a little bit later than everybody because my launch was a little odd. But it was, once I got in, I can't say enough about the whole team at Blizzard. It was well worth the wait, in my opinion. What do you think?
For me, it has been one of the most consistent launches that I've played through. I've never played live on a launch.
Oh, cool.
Before,
good for you. Yeah. Isn't that something? It's a whole nother feeling when you're there when it launches.
Man.
It's cool.
Yeah. It was pretty incredible, and that was a fantastic experience. But I think we're a month in, raiding's been open. Just before we hit the record button, Limit got the world first on Mythic Castle.
Congratulations, Limit!
Woo woo! Well done, Complexity Limit. So it's still, and that's within the first month of the expansion. The expansion.
Really
that's
is.
Kind of crazy. Tier 1 is like, it's down,
and it was super close. They were battling all morning.
I heard it was very, very close.
Yeah, I wasn't able to either because we had our work Christmas party today. Well, we worked till noon, then we had our Christmas party, and so I wasn't able to keep up with it, but I did catch up on Twitter. I'm thankful for Twitter because it's like live updates on everything I care about.
Absolutely.
Not that we're Twitter shills, right?
Yeah, so... well, it's very easy to have your own little echo chamber on Twitter, and I look at some other stuff as well because I don't like to live in an echo chamber, but I just don't follow it. So if you don't want to see, you don't have to. But I do try and look at other things as well.
Oh, full transparency! It's way more fun to play than it is to watch. For me, and to each their own, and that's great. And I think I will go back to the VODs of it for the boss fights. Although I don't know if I'm going to be a mythic guy or not.
Oh, yeah. No, but even you can pick up, so if you watch somebody who plays your class, you can pick up a lot of experience and tips from people like that, just by seeing what
Right.
how they're
Yeah.
using their abilities and stuff.
And I
It can
want
be
to
really, really useful.
kind of
So, but yeah,
broach that into, well, that's probably the wrong word. I want to kind of say my New Year's resolution is to actually try Holy Pally on Bricco again. So those VODs,
oh,
yeah,
you heard it
those
here
VODs
first,
might help me a
folks.
bunch. And now that we're friends with
Oh, I'm
Leria,
sure they will.
maybe
Absolutely.
they can help.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm sure there'll be lots of people. There'll be loads of people reaching out to me now saying, "I can help you with
I'll
Holy Pally.
take
I
all
can
the
help you
help I
with
can get. I'll need it.
Yeah,
I think part of my problem is I got to stop being sour
absolutely,
about Holy
absolutely.
Power. Oh, that rhymed.
Yeah, you I think when you have such a big class change, it can be difficult, but you almost have to go back to it as a new class rather than thinking of it as, oh, I preferred
Right.
it the old way. You just have to
Move
think of it as a
forward.
completely different class. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So those were definitely some of the highs in the game, and we'll talk about Shadowlands in a bit more depth in a moment. What have you had any particular lows in the World of Warcraft community itself?
The community
in the last
itself,
sort
I
of 6
have
months?
not. I've reached out to different people in just the WoW community itself, also some other podcasters in our little tight knit community. And I've joined some guilds and I've played some with
Yep.
those folks, and it's been really fun. I will say I've had an absolute blast with the Lions Pride Tavern folks on Classic Saturdays. We actually last Saturday we took down Dead Mines. We rolled right through, and Bricco's a paladin tank all of a sudden at level 23. So,
Nice.
but yeah, it's I can honestly say I've not had any lows in the game outside of sometimes when I do log on, it's hard to find something to do with the group. But it's also because I'm not gilded
Yeah.
on my main. I'm gilded on my Unholy Death Knight, and they're always the hot sauce Frank's Hot Sauce Guild is always willing to help. So if I try a little harder and had a little more time, I don't think I'd have a low at all, to be honest. How about you?
Yeah. I think for me personally, I haven't really experienced any lows
Here, here.
in the game or the community. I think
This is not easy to say all the time, guys.
No. I think that there's been like the odd instance of somebody being a dick, but and I think in the wider community there was one instance of somebody from Echo saying something
gosh.
about Nagora.
Yes.
But I think
Why?
and then there was the Gingy incident with the race to world first level 60 where they spammed dungeons, but there hasn't been anything as major as 6 months ago when we
And not to
launched.
laugh at it, but oh boy.
And it got
Yeah.
no, but it's
Exactly.
good that we haven't had that. Bit more recently, Haughty Chicken had to deal with some nastiness, but I think she is extremely resilient and she has a very good community.
The
around
coop
her.
is amazing, and she's amazing. I
Yeah.
wanted to punch people when I read that.
Yeah.
I wanted to punch people, and that's probably not the correct reaction.
Yeah.
But I'm a Midwestern American, and when somebody pisses on your buddy, you take care of it.
Yeah, and I think there is, I very much have a very similar reaction. Like, I do not condone violence except when
Right.
you want to punch Nazis, and I will. But if somebody upsets my friends or my family, I get far more upset and inclined to action than I do if you offend me. Like I'll just be like, yeah, fuck off. I don't really care what you say or do to me. Within kind of
right. You remember our
certain
first
parameters or whatever,
episode
but
and how my blood boiled,
yes,
and your blood boiled. I mean, our
yeah,
collective community blood boiled.
yeah,
That's what I felt when I read
yeah, of course.
Hotty's tweet, and I
Yeah,
literally
me too.
just about saw
Yeah.
red. I was like, it's
Yeah.
one thing if, like you just said, it's one thing if you come at me with that shit, but don't do that to my family, my friends, my kids, I mean, no, that's
Yeah.
bullshit. And I'm just so glad she is as strong of a person as she is. Although she doesn't need to be. She shouldn't need to put up with that shit. But
no, that's the thing, isn't it? Nobody should actually need to be
the
able
stuff with Nagura.
to
I mean, come on.
be resilient or strong. Yeah, there's no reason that anybody should have to put up with that, and I think that comes back to the thing of, like we said with Laria on the last episode, if there's more of us that shine a bright light and say we are a place of positivity and inclusiveness and we will help you deal with the shit, but we're not going to perpetrate it here, then the more of us that do that, then the less places
exactly
the
brighter we shine, the dimmer they are.
And that's not to say that we don't have, I find it, I'm sure it was Frasley that I heard use the phrase toxic positivity, where you're so positive all the time that you deny that anything can ever be bad. And I agree with that there can be, there, like, certainly on Instagram, you get all these like people that are always like, oh, you'll get through it. It's like, and they post all the uplifting quotes and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but we can't deny that there is sadness and darkness in the world. And it's okay to have sad feelings. It's okay to be a bit upset. But if you have an overall general positive, optimistic outlook, then those dark feelings and times don't last as long and you're more resilient to get over them. And I think that's what's growing in this community now, is this resilience. We come up against these idiots time and time again, but we are refusing to let them bring us or our friends or other members of the community down. And that, I think that's what we absolutely have to do.
It's not about getting thicker skin.
In the last,
because part of me, I'm 47 and I grew up, you needed thick skin, but so I understand the meaning of it, but at the same time, the only reason you need it is because people are anonymous on the internet. And so if you don't need to write your name and who you are and pay for whatever you did to another person, then the other person does. And the other person does not need to have thick skin. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? It just kind of came to me. I'm like, I've had it, but I don't need it. Resilience is the key.
Yeah, and I have seen people say, "Oh, it's the internet. You need to get a thick skin." And I'm like, no. Just because of the anonymity does not equal you being allowed to say something.
If they're held responsible, then maybe we can have that discussion. But until the assholes are held responsible, nobody needs thick skin. Does that make sense? It does to me.
Yeah. Well, it's, turning around to somebody and saying, "Oh, you need to grow thick skin," does not absolve the anonymous trolls of their bad behaviour. So, but I think overall, since the complete meltdown in May, June, it was middle of June, wasn't it? And since the complete meltdown of streaming and World of Warcraft and content creation as a whole, we've done quite well. Things have been getting better. So let's hope that they continue on that way.
I think the more and more I've noticed, and it's a bit of an echo chamber, but it's a good echo chamber. But more and more that I've noticed is less and less of the shithead tweets. The less and less of the bad stuff. So, and maybe it's because I'm paying more attention, or maybe it's because all of us that are on this bandwagon of positivity are actually having an effect. So here's to hoping, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, the more we keep, the more we try and bring good people into the fore and showcase them and talk to them and talk about their journeys, the more other people will realise there are good people out there, and you don't have to hide and you don't have to be afraid, because there are good people in this community that will be there for you and will help you and will, help you play the game and enjoy it, and outside of that will help you get through life's shit, which, let's face it,
It
2020
has.
has been
And
one long shit
you'll
show.
get the cutest gifts of puppies. Just stuff like that from people that you just
Yes.
friended on Twitter a year ago. And
Yeah.
you get to interact
Yeah.
with them, and you can have friends on the internet, and a lot
Yeah.
of them are good people that just truly enjoy the company
Yeah.
of your retweets and other people's retweets. It can be such a good place if you choose it to be.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And so just moving on from that a little bit, I said we were going to come back to Shadowlands, and we will come back to the community feel as well, because that's what we're about here on the Third Faction. But there is an element that I need to tie in here, which is to talk about Shadowlands itself. So, Bricco, tell me and all our lovely listeners, how was your launch experience?
So
for Shadowlands?
I was getting all excited to go in with my Unholy Death Knight.
I love hearing you talk about the fact
on a
that you
different
now
server
have
than
Unholy Death
is
Knight.
my main is on, and I wasn't able to log on. So it sort of deflated my balloon, but I will say I went to Duskwood, our tiny little server that I was in since vanilla, and I was able to log on to Bricco. So I guess maybe it was the fates showing me, as it will be, your main will be your first run through the Shadowlands. And so it was.
Yeah.
And I talked to the guys and gals over at Frank's Red Hot Sauce, and they were fine. They got their own stuff going on, but they're going to be there to help me when I want to get that Unholy Death Knight geared up. So I am, because for most of the reason is because I know how much you love them, and you're my podcast queen partner, but also because they're so much damn fun to play. I don't think they hit quite as hard as my Ret Pally, really, and I haven't looked at all the numbers, but man, I crush things with that Ret Pally of mine. I'd rather have him healing, like we said earlier. I'll get back into that, but I can say that it was seamless though. Once I did get onto Bricco, I had free reign. I could do everything. It seems the layering was perfect. You weren't ever truly waiting for mobs to spawn. I think Blizzard just needs to be commended. I'm not really a shill for Blizzard, but I do love their games, and I've been, I think, live launches all except for Legion, and this is by far the most seamless. I had more fun in the WAD launch just because it was our guild was still together, and we all did it together. But this one, it was, as far as what your quests were, and what you just never had to wait for anything, and I didn't find hardly any bugs. It was just seamless and gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I mean, WAD was gorgeous too. All of them have been, really, because they get better every single time, but this one was breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking.
It is, and each zone is such an exquisite piece of art and storytelling, and it all fits
really
so
does,
well
yeah.
together.
And the only thing I'll say, like, Revendeth was awesome, but traveling in Revendeth, oh my gosh. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of having to go up and down.
It was so frustrating, but I did trip onto it. I fell off of something, damn near died, and all of a sudden people were killing this rare right next to me. So I tagged it, and I think I tweeted it. It was blue bracers or something. I was like, oh, awesome. Sweet.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, launch night was the first time I've actually sat up and been present for an actual launch.
I hope it went well.
On Terracar EU, it was so smooth. I think I've been ruined because I haven't encountered a live launch before, because for whatever reason, I think when BFA launched, I was away in the Netherlands and I was on my laptop at the time,
Sure.
which was pretty ancient. So I was probably sitting up like in the spare bedroom playing very late at night, and would have probably wasn't even logged on the night of launch, because I knew that my laptop probably wouldn't be able to handle it, and B, I may well have had plans the next morning with
Sure,
my
sure.
son's grandmother. So I didn't do BFA live. I didn't do Legion. I wasn't around for WOD launch. But this was, so we were there was a group of us on Discord, like from a couple of us from Guild, all chatting away on there. And then in Stormwind itself, in front of the keep, where obviously Darian popped up with the quest, there were people just hanging out on their mounts. And I thought, I'm just going to nip over and see what the Horde are doing. And I logged on to my Undead Warrior, and in Orgrimmar, they were all mounted on I think they were on Firehawk mounts. And there was about 10 or 15 of them, all in a horseshoe, waiting for the quest giver to pop up. And I was like, hang on a minute, we can do better than this. Went back onto the Alliance side, got on my Ember Worm, or whatever it's called. The Anima Worm, whichever one came with the pre-order and the expansion. And by the end, we had about 25 of us all in a horseshoe. All in our little
here, that's awesome.
So that, and yeah, literally at 1 minute past 11 o'clock, it clicked over, and there was Darian, and off we went into the moor, and it was absolutely fantastic. There were no problems. I didn't have to queue to log in. I mean, I know that I am on a relatively low population server. So yeah, I just had no problems whatsoever. The next couple of days, I do remember some people did have problems.
I did a couple times,
did. And I know there were problems across some particular servers had nightmare problems. I didn't ever have to go through anything
I tried the third day,
terrible,
that would have been Wednesday, to get back on a Laughing Skull, and there was a queue. You know, I'm like, wow. I guess, all right, whatever. I mean, it's fine. Like I said, that's not my chosen server home. I mean, I transferred a tomb there, so you would think I would be able to lock onto it. but honestly, other than that, I played a little more classic then too. So, you know, I'm just super happy with both games right now, and I've been having such a blast in classic to take a little break from all that is Shadow. I mean, there's a lot Shadowlands throws at you. it gets to be a lot.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of Torghast?
I have been into Torghast once on my own, and it was last week, and I don't know if it was before they changed it, but I thought I'd got up to a point where I could save it, and it turned out I hadn't.
Sure.
Now that's fine. I'm not bothered. I actually really enjoyed going in on my own and just figuring it all out and taking my time and not racing through anything, but I killed every single mob, and I had, I just really enjoyed the challenge of finding my way around, figuring out, could I kill stuff?
Yeah, I think it really helps you. I think it really helps you with your class. You know.
Yes, actually, that's not. Yeah, I'd not thought of that, but it does. Because you have to know which anima powers are going to work best.
Choose the right one, and then when you get through there, like on my Ret Pally, I hit like a truck. I went in 3 times now, but I think it was the first layer or level or whatever. But I got to the 6th floor, and I think I died once, and it was never on the final boss. You know, and I did it twice, and I thought, well, now they changed it, so I'm probably, I don't think they made it easier, but maybe they did. I haven't been in since Thursday of last week, so, but yeah, I went through there, and I was like driving a steamroller. You still had to plan your pulls, or you know what I mean, but man, when I started hitting stuff, things would proc, and it just felt bad ass. It was It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did enjoy it, and I will go in there again. I've got quests in there, so I do need to go in and do those quests, and I did enjoy it. I know some of my guildies don't like it.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
quite. I, I was going to say I quite like the Moor as well because it feels like a horror game, and I don't generally play horror
Right.
games because they freak me out. But I love the fact that I'm in the Moor and I'm going to get. First off, I'm going to get towers blasting me, which doesn't really feel like much of a
Right.
problem because you can move away. But it's when
Mhm.
you get the eyes on you, on your head. I think that's at level 3 or 4, and then I'm like, right, no, I
We
think
got
I'm
to
probably
level
going to bail
5
now.
2 days in a row, and you started fighting something, and
Whoa!
all of a sudden this yellow nameplate comes down, floating down, and starts hitting you like a truck. And so you finish who you're fighting, and then you hit them, and and I was like, I did that twice, and I realized, okay, jailer's mad at you. You're level 5. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
This one, I did everything I
Yeah.
needed to do. I was just kind of having fun running around, staying out of that river. That river's freaky. Holy smokes! Yeah,
Oh yeah, the
it's
River
like
of
the river
Souls,
Styx. Ugh.
Goa or something. Yeah. Yep. Yep. No, I love all the mythological kind of hints, and in the zones. If we talk about the zones for a minute, I mean, Bastion as a Greek mythological geek is like just
Agreed.
perfection. But then the more you can argue
Yeah,
that the more is Hades, and that's the underworld. And although I would think Hades and Persephone would be a little bit more benevolent than
I would
the
like to
jailer
think
is.
so.
Well, there's tales of them having feasts and stuff, and I
No,
don't see the jailer doing that
and it'd
anytime
fall out of
soon.
his chest anyway.
Oh my goodness.
I
Well, I
think I
have a
do
theory
too.
about that orb as well. Yeah. But yeah, so which out of all the zones, which has been your favourite zone in
Oh man.
Shadowlands so far?
So I started playing my alt hunter I started with Anti-Bricco, my unholy death knight, and I went Threads of Fate with him, so I could go straight to Maldraxxus and get my
Right,
bone
yeah.
armor and look badass. Well, you're only there for so long, and then you
Yup.
basically go to BFA stuff where you pick another island to go to. So I don't know if I care for Threads of Fate as much. I think I just as soon go through so you get to see
Okay.
all the zones again. I thought if I got to Maldraxxus, I would just
Yeah.
complete that zone and then move on or whatever. But as soon as you get to, I think he's 54, and I was already heading to, I think, Ardenweald. And so
Yeah, that's yeah.
if I had to choose one, though, I mean, I love the Swolkins in Bastion. But they're all, other than the travel and Revendeth, I honestly think all 4 of them are gorgeous in their own way, right? Like Maldraxxus is never going to be, gorgeous is not going to be that word,
It's never going
right?
to be beautiful, but it's so
And
on
it
point
is.
for what it is, And that's the problem. They've done such a good job on
Right.
making every single zone absolutely spot on
And
for what it's
I don't want to
supposed
speed
to
ahead, but what
be.
are they going to do
That
to top
you
this?
well, I have a couple of theories, and I know a couple of other people who've got some similar theories. So obviously, Castle
Yep.
Nathra is the first raid in Revendreth. I've just been playing through some of the new Covenant quests for Maldraxxus, and they've on the bit that I've just done, we found anima from Revendreth
Ooh.
in Maldraxxus.
Sure.
So there's proof of a link there between Revendreth
part of
and
me,
Maldraxxus.
go ahead,
And
sorry.
So there's obviously a connection between and Maldraxxus, the House of the Chosen invade, and one of the other houses invade Bastion. So there are bad people in Maldraxxus, and I've just sort of gone, like tonight, I have gone through
Sure.
and done quite a few of these quest lines. But somebody else has said it, and I think it might have been Taliesin and Garrett on WoW Killer saying the House of the Chosen in Maldraxxus is a very big, and it's outdoors, and it's a very big area. And at the moment, every single mob in there is red. It's red, and you ride in there for one of the world quests, and oh my god, you die several times just trying to
I
get
know
to the
that place.
quest
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's I'm sure Taliesin said it's going to be a raid. That is going to be a raid zone, because it's so big. It could
Sure.
easily be turned into a raid zone. You could put wings inside that we can't get to. So I think there's an argument that will become a raid zone because of the way they're shaping up the Maldraxxus storyline. Bastion, I've not played so much through,
I'm
so I don't
torn with
know
Bastion.
quite enough about that.
It's
Like
almost,
Bastion's like
it is.
it's freaking beautiful, but it's I don't like it felt very jarring playing through as a Death Knight when they're saying, we're gonna cleanse you of your sin effectively, and I'm like, you've got no chance. I'm a Death Knight. Do you know what I've done? I
Right.
exist to kill. Basically, that is the whole reason I exist. And that felt quite jarring, but from a play, like as my character, but as a player, it's absolutely beautiful.
It
But it's
is.
very culty.
And that's the part that bugs
It's
me
very,
because
very
Bricco doesn't need
culty.
to forget. He's not there. Bricco's done so much
Yeah.
good for Azeroth, and not all good, of course, but mostly he's been a healing paladin that's tried his best to do his best for his friends. And now they talk
Yeah.
about forgetting who you were, so you can let go of all. Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a cult.
Yeah. It'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see how that plays out as well. And we'll probably get another zone to explore, like maybe like
Are you
9.2
thinking
or something.
Thros?
We'll get another zone. Um,
Maybe later, huh?
um,
With all the
well,
Druss stuff, I don't know.
yeah, I mean there is enough just stuff. We've kind of like Jaina was in Thros when we rescued her. If you do the Una quest line, she's in Shadowlands / Thros. So it's quite possible that we would go there. I can see that as being like maybe that's the Ardenweald raid. We
That
go
would
to
make
Thros
sense.
and we
Yeah, that
take
would make
out Gorak
sense.
Tool again once and for all. Who knows? Yeah, I think that's possible. I mean, overall, I'd say Shadowlands has
Yeah,
been
I've not
very well
heard too many
received.
bad words outside of the Torghast stuff. Some people thought it was too hard. Some people thought, well, the raid doesn't drop enough stuff. The dungeons don't drop enough stuff. But, I mean, I like the feeling of feeling like you really got something when you get a drop. They're not force feeding it like they have the last 3
Yes.
expansions.
Yeah. And you don't, if I want a legendary, I can go and work for it. If I don't want one, I
Exactly.
don't have to go and get it. It is not, today I opened up the vault and I had done 1 mythic +2, which was painful last week. My friends were very kind and dragged me through it. And I got a 200 ring, or 200
good for you.
gloves, which basically, they got me my 171 eye level that I needed to get in LFR. So we went into LFR tonight and we were done in
Nice.
like half an hour. And I got a cloak, which was a small upgrade. But I remember and this is one of the things that I don't mind about the way the gear is working at the moment, is in Wrath, I had a shopping list that I needed to go and get stuff before I could step into raid. And I was told, these are the bits you need to get. And that's what I went to do. And now I have a best in slot list. So I'm aiming for the pre-raid best in slot. And if I get it, I get it. And if I don't, I'm not bothered. And, I'll get what I can get from the raid when we start raiding in January. And it'll be fine. And I'm not worried about it. And I know that I can carry my own for my team now. And and yes, it's taken me a month to get up to LFR raid level, eye level. But I'm okay with that. I don't mind that because I know like where I need to be. And in BFA, I had no idea.
Right.
Loot would rain from the heavens. Like, and I'd just be like, well, I don't actually know if this is better because I don't know anything about even by the end, I still couldn't understand it as the right traits. I still hadn't got those
Sure.
figured out, you know? And it just tell me what my stats are and tell me what I need to go and
Right.
get, and I'll
Exactly.
be happy. And at the moment I am just taking stuff that's higher eye level to get me to that point. And now I've got a couple of the best in slot pieces, but I haven't got them all. But I've got a couple of them, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. Now, when we spoke to Laria on the last show, after we'd finished the show and before we were just sort of saying our goodbyes and we were chatting, and this point came up about that we all sort of felt that the launch of Shadowlands had been a much more friendly and cooperative feeling expansion. And I don't know if you felt that in the past week as well. Have you felt
I
that it's
have. I
continued
was
that
in
feeling?
a few looking for dungeons. Not heroics yet, of course, but everything went pretty smooth. There was no toxicity in. I think I went into 7 of them. Not, I haven't seen all of them, but 7 of them, and there was no toxicity. It was great. It was like what?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, looking for group is usually like looking for group for dungeons is usually the worst one. It's the one where everything's um,
Sure.
a bit of a problem. Yeah, I've also found that there's been a lot less toxicity particularly in dungeons and LFR. But I also feel, and I don't know if this is because I'm in the guide channel, people seem to be a lot more helpful. There are obviously a lot of new players around, and some of them do struggle with things that almost seem basic to me now, and then I have to remember that no, I am still a noob and I'm still learning stuff, and
Sure.
you have to kind of go easy on them. And I've seen a couple of people in there be a bit short and sort of say, well, if you'd have gone and done this, you'd have known by now. And it's like, well, hang on, they don't know where to go to get the information. They've
Right.
never played this game. You've got to be a bit, you've got to just be a bit patient.
That
But I
was
think,
my fear. Yeah,
yeah,
when they
no,
announced it, but you said it's going well, huh? How have you
yeah,
found
I
it?
think overall, my experience of it as a guide has been that most people are pleasant and helpful.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful news. I love it.
yeah, I think the only the only funny thing is that a lot of the newcomers don't realise that it is a newcomer guide chat. So when when they
Oh,
start talking in there, and some of them say thanks, I'm a new player, and then the guides will say yes, we know we're guides, we're here to help you. And they go, oh right, oh that's really cool. Oh, that's and a couple of people have said that. There was
oh,
somebody,
cool.
there was yeah, there was somebody earlier today who was just going, guide, hello, guide, and I was like, I'm in a dungeon and I want to help you, but I can't. What was I? No, I was doing no, I wasn't. Sorry, I wasn't in a dungeon. I haven't actually seen it pop in a dungeon, so I think it may turn itself. It may sort of quiet itself. What I have seen, I was in combat with like a group of mobs. That's what it was. So I couldn't answer immediately, and I am one of these people that likes to answer as quickly as possible.
Sure.
And they were kind of going, guide, hello, and I was like, hi, can I help? So I don't know if some people may think you're like Blizzard employees sitting there waiting to
Yeah.
talk to but I think in general it works pretty well, and I think that's certainly helped my feeling that this has been a really cooperative launch. But I think the other thing that we touched on at the end of that last interview with Laria when we were just chatting was that we wondered if the pandemic had anything to do with it. How do you feel about that? Do you think the pandemic has changed the way we've interacted in the game? Has it made us a bit more empathetic with our fellow humans?
I think I don't know that it's done a whole lot for patience in the game, but I will say that I think people are just happier to be talking to other humans, even through a screen or, Discord or whatever. I think a lot of people are just, so especially for WoW people, if you've been playing WoW for any length of time at all, you're basically still hooked. And you've been practicing for this day for, forever, because this is what we chose to do with our free time.
Yeah.
All hours of the night. Generally, like for me, it took up a lot of my time when I was laid off, and it served a double purpose. It kept me out of the bars as much,
Yeah.
you know. But I think for the most part, I truly believe that people are more empathetic towards each other. I think out of all this bad that happened, I think there is some good at the end of the tunnel here that I think people are just going to embrace.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to grow up too, like sometimes being a shit, you can grow out of it. You start having a family and you start doing things with other people that you didn't think of before or whatever, and all of a sudden you're more empathetic to everything all around. And now that that's taken away from you, you've still got your game to go back to talk to some friends that you maybe had guild meetups with 2 years ago or something. Well, now you get to catch up with them again, even though it's over voice, like we're talking right now. It's like you, Demi, literally, it's like you're sitting next to me,
Yeah.
And that's what I think. This game was ahead of its time just because we've always had this option,
Yes.
whether it was Ventrilo, which, TeamSpeak, all these mumble, we've always been able to do this, So I think it's truly helped the community be kinder and more empathetic. Yes.
Yeah. I definitely think there is an element of the community as a whole wants Warcraft and Azeroth to be a happy, safe place, and more so this year than any other year. We've all needed that so much, and I think when we needed Shadowlands. When I heard it was going to be delayed, I was a bit like, well, I thought October release date was really early anyway, because I wasn't expecting it before end of November, beginning of December. So I thought October was really early.
Same. Yep.
Yeah, especially given people working from home and, all of that kind of stuff. So I was a bit disappointed when they delayed it, but I was also kind of relieved that they did, because I didn't think it was going to be, I couldn't see how they could release something
with their polish, right?
Yeah, exactly. And to have done to have achieved what they achieved with everybody working from home since like February, March is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Well, not only that, but if you think, just as a side here, Cyberpunk is swirling around the basin.
Has it been? Now you see, I don't play it. I was thinking about playing it, so all I've read is people's tweets about it's been a pile of dog shit.
It's mostly what I've seen too, but Sony stopped selling it. Like they stopped shipping it. Yeah, so you can't release a broken game, and I don't know. And it would have been, to your point, it was disappointing when Blizz delayed. First time since Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
But I think it was the right decision.
Yeah.
As disappointed as we may have been, it was for the good of the game. I think. So.
And for it to have come out and to have, on release day, to have smashed PC gaming records, and people to be speculating about the number of subs being up in around the same region as it was in Wrath.
Isn't that crazy? And we can also say how the pandemic maybe helped that too. I can't even imagine. Yeah, how many hundreds of thousands of people that had a subscription up until WoD or so, and then decided to dip their toes back in, or even came back for Classic, and then heard all the hubbub about Shadowlands, and I think it had a partial effect on that too, because now we got to spend more time at home. Let's go ahead and resub,
Yeah, Yeah, let's run classic and retail and do Nax and Castle Nathria.
For sure. For sure.
You know, I mean, I can barely manage to be raid ready in one, so I'm never. I mean, I haven't even got a level 60 in classic, so I can forget that. But
I am working on it. Oh yeah.
yeah. No, I am a bona fide classic tourist, unfortunately. So, but that's fine. You know, I think it
Hey,
has
I
been
think
very
both.
good for Warcraft
Yeah,
in
both.
the
Oh,
second
sorry.
half of the year. Sorry,
We
I was
keep.
just saying, like in the second half of the year, it's been a really good year. We'll
Yeah.
forget about the first half.
And I think both games really enjoy you, whether you're a tourist or you're going to live there. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whatever makes you happy, do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's have a think about where we started with this podcast.
Do we have to go
So
back that far?
no, 6 months ago, June the 28th was our first episode when we interviewed Chumpa Chump. He was our first guest.
Hi, Chumpa Chump.
Has
Love you,
remained
brother.
a big friend of the show and somebody that, you know, I talk to. I would not on a daily basis, but certainly if I go like 4 or 5 days without a message between us, it feels a bit weird now.
Sure. If we had each other's phone numbers, I'm pretty sure we would talk at least 3 times a week.
Well, he is. I have to say that Chumpa Chump is one of the very, very few people that I have met through content creation that actually has my phone number and my real name.
Oh.
So yeah. So he's. I mean, people like Verdi, who I've known for 11 years, have obviously know that. But yeah, Chumpa Chump's one of the very, very few people that actually has my real name. The
Nice.
other one is Sil from Whispers of War, because I've bought things from her Etsy shop, which you kind of have to put your real name on and stuff, or
Sure.
don't accept it.
But here's the
But
Verdi and Sil and all of our guests.
Yeah, we've had some really, really, really great guests on. Have you got any particular favourite moments from the show from this year?
It was so great to have Sil on because, well, all of our guests really. I could list them all in no number order.
This is a really shitty, mean question, but
It
it's putting us on the spot the way that we put our guests on the spot. So.
I think I have a good answer though. I really enjoyed talking to Sil again. You know, she reached out on Twitter for a guest.
Yes.
And it was last winter. I don't remember the month. I should write this stuff down, but she's like, well, sure, come on. I'm like, well, what? I half expected to not get a reply. You know, I've been listening to her show. I knew she had started Girls Gone Wow. And I was like, whoa. She actually responded. You know, I kind of thought it was maybe, I'll just throw that out there and see what happens. Well, then she sort of did, saw what happened and had me on. And it was really neat just to kind of tell her on our own show that she helped sort of facilitate, because my mind all of a sudden started wandering and like, ooh, I want to do this. But to be able to tell her how comfortable she made me feel and how easy it was to talk to her. And, you know, just, she could ask me anything and I had just gone on and on and on and on. It was, if anybody out there's listening and they have an idea that they might want a guest on a show, Sil quite often will put that out on Twitter that she'd like guests. And if you're afraid of it, she'd be the perfect one to go to first. She makes you feel so at home. And it was just, I think it was, for me, it was really nice to be able to have her on our show that, you know, she helped sort of push me. Well, she didn't push me, but being on her show pushed me to think that, boy, this would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
You know, but then, you know, we also had Fraz on.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you overstate Verdi?
Yeah.
And he actually guested, remember, with Sai.
Yeah.
So
he was our guest host. Yeah.
All of our guests have been, I don't know, this has just been such a whirlwind, awesome time.
It has. Yeah. And it's really, really hard to like, I mean, I can't really single anybody out because I've enjoyed every single episode. I mean, I absolutely cried with laughter with Nobble. Yes. I adored having Gin and Fear on.
Exactly. How did I not spend 5 minutes talking with my brother from another mother fear.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like, and then novel and hello everyone. I mean, like,
You do it much better than I do.
I don't know. It's a whirlwind, really.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
I mean,
And
now, like you said, though, from our first episode and how the feelings of absolute and utter just ferocity I had towards
yes.
the subject matter and the people that performed it. And then to now, where we started in that way, which we really didn't have a choice, which I'm glad we didn't have a choice because and not to toot our horn, but I think we handled it as well as you could expect. But then to also not ever forget that we came from that low place.
Yeah.
And that's why a couple of our questions are framed the way they are.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it was a wonderful job doing it that way too. Yeah, I can't single out anybody other than maybe single out our fans.
Yeah.
And say thank you guys so much for the support. But our big podcast community, our little podcast community that has grown and grown and grown, you know. It's like Sally Field. People like us. They really, really like us.
I know. It's
And
I
that's
have
not
to
why we
say,
do it, by the way.
no, it's
But
not. It's not like we're not here for an ego trip. We're here because
no,
we like talking to people and we want to connect
and
good
talking to each
people
other.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to connect good people with other good people. And for me that was always one of the key things that sealed the deal for me wanting to do one was wanting to connect like-minded people with other like-minded people. But actually, I think doing this podcast has saved my sanity a lot this year because it's given me a place of joy
And
once
an
every 2
outlet.
weeks. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and when we sit down and we get together with our guests and I mean I said this at the end of the last show, it was 10 o'clock at night and we were starting to 10 o'clock for me and we were just about to start recording and I was like, oh, I'm quite tired and as soon as I got into the podcast with you and Laria, I was like, oh my god. And then Des Mephisto appeared in the chat and
Oh
I
my
was like,
God, yeah, right.
oh, this is just crazy. And suddenly you're like, my hype levels have gone through the roof. And then I couldn't get to sleep that night because I'd had such a good time. And this is not an exaggeration, but for all of you people listening out there, to every single one of you, thank you, because you've helped my mental health this year.
Yes, here. I can utter the same. Absolute. Yeah, like when I was super tired before the Lyria recording too, and you said it exactly right. All of a sudden, boom! It's like I was shot with adrenaline.
Yeah,
and it was just so fun. I don't know. It's when you posed, our topic for our supposedly coming new show, and you said, well, let's kind of think about community and blah blah blah, and I thought, well, that's perfect. Now this is a real thing, huh? now we're gonna be doing this, and okay, now timing. Let's see. But honestly, other than a couple of dips and highs here and there, we've been fairly consistent, and I can't thank our listeners and our community enough for being there for us and helping us out and
it's been
just
awesome.
meeting like-minded people with like-minded people. If you ever are sad and you put us in your ears, you can DM me on Twitter at any time. If it doesn't matter. You could listen to this 6 months from now, but just so everybody knows, we're all in this together, and that's
We are very much so.
That's what I really like about our subject, or whatever you'd like to call our topic of our show or whatever. And I got to meet the amazing Demeter Noth and talk to her bi-weekly, if not more.
You lucky swine.
Am I not? I am. I really am.
Oh dear. Yeah, we've had a good year. What do you think we're going to do next year?
Well, I think that I don't know, because it's other shows do this a little, but I'd like to have just like a night at the bar, not necessarily the bar, but a night where we just chit chat
Are you,
about.
are you are you thinking like some kind of the third faction after hours?
I am. See, everything rolls off
It's
your tongue a
like
little better.
it's like we've discussed this
Yeah,
before.
maybe. I was trying to figure out how to say, well, I want Jen and Fear back. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
I think we've already got some great guests lined up for the early part of next year.
We do. There's a lot to be excited for.
We've got some ideas about things like an after hours kind of additional podcast where
Would that
we
be a Patreon thing?
shit with people. Ideally, yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of other ideas kicking around because obviously we both now have families who play the game as well.
Yes. I'm so excited.
And both families have said, yeah, we want to be on the podcast. So,
it's so exciting.
And we've started talking about a possible charity collaboration. So,
For
there is quite likely to be some additional content from us that it won't be instead of the normal stuff. It will be as well as. I think that's what we'd like to do.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then even more stuff from stuff.
There's just stuff making stuff over here.
Stuff that's making more stuff. Yeah. So we've got a lot.
Do we want to chat about any of our upcoming guests, or should we wait for a New Year's special?
Well, we've got. I think I can confirm 3 that have definitely said yes. So one of the first ones is going to be Cell Heals.
Awesome.
Who, for those that don't know, you need to go and check out Cell on Twitch at twitch.tv/cellheals, which is CEL Heals, HEALS. And Cell is a fantastic streamer who is extremely inclusive, specializes really in kind of helping people through Mythic Plus content, does a lot of healing, and a little bit like Laria in that they're very healing focused, hence Cell Heals.
Does he play a holy paladin?
I think he does.
Well.
And a shaman. Definitely has a shaman. Would be worth checking out. And if you don't do anything else, look on his Twitch feed for his Naughty Turkey.
Yes.
At the end of October, when he dressed up in drag as Haughty Chicken.
That was epic.
It was epic. And I had to say to Haughty Chicken that she is now an official icon because only icons get replicated in drag.
Yep.
Like Cher, Barbara Streisand, Dolly Parton, the true icons are the only people that get done in drag. So she has to take that as a massive compliment. But if you only go and watch one thing on Cell's Twitch, I would recommend that. We've also got Rig and Coffee coming in from Character Craft.
Yes.
So it'll be the Brits dominating that one. So it'll be the Brits dominating that one with we'll make sure we say bollocks a lot just to get that in for the Morally Grey crew as well.
I didn't make him mad by saying blokes, did I?
No.
Okay. Just making sure.
Blokes is a
like
English
dudes
term.
here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Blokes are fine. And then we've got a couple of others coming up. We have who else? Oh yes, we've got none other than our very own patron Dracoris coming on.
Awesome! I heard there was inklings of that, but I didn't hear that it's a go.
He is getting a little project of his own together, and I'd actually,
wonderful.
The day that we spoke about it, I thought I want to get him on anyway because he is a really lovely person and is spreading a lot of joy in the community just by being a community member and a player of the game.
Absolutely.
And then the next day, there's cryptic tweets between him and Cerise, who is another member.
I saw those. Yeah.
They're up to something. So I was like, can we get the scoop on that, please?
Or we can get an exclusive.
So we may well get an exclusive on what they're up to, yes. And I think you might have a couple of ideas about people that we're going to have on as well in the new year.
I do, and it just depends on the scheduling, but we have, depending on how we're going to record, there's four hosts of the Lion's Pride Tavern that are all in, so we can have those folks from their lovely community on, and then we will get Josh Corbett, and I'm super excited for that.
Oh my goodness, the king of classic.
Yes, the king of classic is gonna. He's already said yes, and we're trying to figure out our scheduling, and then as far as when we think they're going to announce Burning Crusade Classic.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to talk to Josh and the Lion's Pride Tavern folks.
Yeah,
and all of our guests, really.
Well, I can't believe that we've been able to snag this many people this early on, and it's like
it's amazing. I think part of it might be because we maybe hold these folks up a little higher than some, but at the same time, your peers are your peers, whether it's a guy laying block next to me or whether it's Josh Corbett. You know what I mean? Like they're all so welcoming and nice. It's community. That's what it is. And it's getting bigger and bigger every time we have a show. Honestly,
it's getting a bit crazy. The amount I've been watching the downloads tick up, and I'm not obsessing over the numbers, but numbers are a good way to see if you're being successful or not. And thanks to you wonderful people out there, it seems that you quite like what we're doing. So we're going to keep doing more of it. And we have also, on the flip side of that, we've been asked to be guests together on one of the longest running WoW podcasts, which recording at the end of January. I'll confirm dates and stuff obviously closer to the time because I don't want to confirm stuff and then for whatever reason we have to cancel or they have to postpone us. But we have been invited onto Girls Gone WoW. Yeah. So I explained to Kiddo that it would interrupt his bedtime and did he want to go and have a sleepover somewhere else, and I told him what it was going to be and he was like, no, it's fine, Mum, you do it, I'll be good, I'll go to bed on my own.
Oh, that's so awesome. He's such a cutie.
little soul, bless him, and he's pestering me to go and do more dungeons together, so I'm going to have to make sure I have like some Xanax on tap.
Fantastic. There is one other actually too. I just noticed my notes. Lurtz from Rotten Wither podcast. Yes. He is also the leader of the Frank's Red Hot Sauce Guild on Laughing Skull that I'm a part of with my Unholy Death Knight. And, we haven't scheduled yet.
I'm gonna have to clip you saying that and put it on the screen deck, so I can go Unholy Death Knight.
Anything to help, but yeah, Lurtzy's going to be on with us too. We just haven't scheduled it yet, but he's a go. So it's just wonderful, and I really can't thank our listeners enough, and also all of our guests. It's just been a whirlwind of absolute awesome.
It has. It really, really has. I can't like I kind of hinted at it earlier about how much doing the podcast has helped my mental health this year, but guys, I can't emphasize it enough. I really, really appreciate everybody, each and every one of you who has listened to us in the last 6 months. We hope you stick around for another show, even if it's maybe if you don't stick around for another 6 months. But yeah, we really are very, very grateful.
Absolutely.
But I that kind of brings us to the end of our kind of roundup of the shit show that was 2020.
I almost broke out into Dean Martin singing, but I'm just not. I'm not. No.
But I think we're I think at the end of that we can sort of say that yes, 2020 has certainly brought its challenges, but there have been a significant amount of highs in amongst all of that, the not so great stuff. So
For sure.
and a lot of that is down to you, my wonderful co-host, Mr. Bricco. So thank you.
And to you, Miss Demeter Mouth, you are my podcast queen, partner in crime.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, that brings us to the end of 2020. We don't have any new patrons. We might have by the time this goes to air, but I've not looked because we were just having a casual chit chat. But if you would like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/thethirdfactionshow. The show will always be free, but your contributions do help towards the cost of the show. And we, as we've mentioned in this ramble of a chat, we do have a lot more to bring you in the coming months, including stuff like a Discord server, some more episodes, and all that tasty good stuff. We will be back in the new year with another interview, back with our community heroes, which we haven't done this time because we're trying to give me an easy editing time as well. More from the world of Warcraft. I have stepped into LFR now, but I might actually have raided on normal by the time we get the next one out. But until we see you in 2021, you can visit the website at thethirdfaction.com for links on where to find me and Bricco and the show, including the Patreon and the Twitch links. There may be some streaming over the holidays, who knows? You can email the show on thethirdfactionshow@gmail.com, and you can also leave a review on your chosen podcast platform or at the phenomenal warcraftradio.com/directory. And if you don't want to leave a review, the very best thing you can do is tell your friends about us.
Let them know. Just let them know.
Do you have any final words for 2020?
I absolutely do. 2020, fuck off. And also, it's been a wonderful year, all that aside. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all out there. Thank you guys so much. You've brightened my day every morning with different tweets. And thank you so much to Demi. You are a bright spot in this dark 2020.
Oh, all I can say is thank you to you for coming up with the idea of us doing a podcast. It really has made the year a lot more fun than it might have been. Thank you to everybody who listens. And yeah, I get. It's not very often that I get speechless.
I did it, didn't I?
But I get kind of a bit tongue-tied sometimes, and I'm trying to express how grateful I am is one of those times.
Right.
So guys, I am really, really, really grateful to every single one of you that listens, to Bricco for being there and being my partner, because I wouldn't do this without another person involved, because I wouldn't have anyone around to talk to and it would be boring. Here's to a fantastic festive holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and let's make 2021 a bright year for everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Remember, always be learning and don't be a dick.